What's up, Big 12 Nation? It is Tuesday night in America. That can mean only one thing. It's time for another edition of your favorite YouTube-centric Big 12 college football show. That's right. It's the one. It's the only. It is the biggest 12 with me, your host, Clint Foster. Wherever you are, thanks so much for making us a part of your Tuesday night. And we've got a great show for you this evening. So much to talk about in the world of Big 12 football. We may be in that lull period between the regular season and bowl season. You know, much to Bomber's chagrin, bowl season still exists and playoff season. But still, news popping off everywhere. So much to talk about. Can't wait to do it with you and with my beloved guests. But first, I need something from you. I need you to subscribe to the show. Come on, at Big 12 BOCFB. There it is right there. Actually, I have to announce, y'all did it. Thank you. A Christmas miracle. We have 1,000 subscribers on the Biggest 12 channel. So give yourselves a hand. I am so thankful that y'all have done that. Make sure if you're watching and you haven't subscribed that you do it. Do it right now. Do it. Do it. Okay. Hey, I'm very grateful. This is very exciting. We're taking this thing places. We're doing stuff. We're doing the thing. All right. So subscribe to the show. Also, subscribe to my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Creations. It is watch my documentary season. Remember the Alamo Bowl? Make sure you've done that if you haven't yet. And follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55. Follow the Voice of College Football on all of your socials, BDOCFB. And check out thevoiceofcollegefootball.com with its oh-so-delicious store. You need to stuff those stockings with something. Go to the Voice of College Football store, get some with VOCFB on it. Why not? Okay. And check out all of the great discussion and entertainment that's going on there. Also, check us out wherever you get your podcasts and give us a 5-star review. Tell your friends, tell your lovers, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, all of those things. So, without further ado, Brownie should be swinging by, but let me welcome in my first guest. You know him, you love him. I'm so happy every time he's able to swing by. From the East Coast, representing the West Coast, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Ralph Amsden. Ralph, how you doing, brother?
What up, Clint?
It's a beautiful Tuesday. Got a lot of Big 12 football to talk about, and since you're here, so we're doing things a little bit differently today. We're going, I described it PTI style. Remember when ESPN used to have good programming? PTI style. We're going to just talk about several different things that are happening in the world of the Big 12. And I want to start with a couple of ASU things since you're here for the moment. First thing being, I know you weren't here when we were doing our bowl previews. What are your thoughts on this Sun Bowl matchup? Arizona State going to be missing a few key pieces going into this game with a, dare I say it, red hot Duke Blue Devils team. Blue hot. At any rate, are you concerned about playing Duke in El Paso?
Yeah, Duke's great. I mean, I live in Charlotte. That's where the ACC media kickoff is every year. So the last couple of years, I've had the opportunity to go out and interview some Duke players. And this year, I talked to a couple of their offensive linemen, got to ask Manny Diaz a couple of questions, and spent some time with Darian Mensah, who was one of college football's highest paid quarterbacks this year. And money talks. I mean, if you look at the ACC championship, you have Virginia. They had a ton of investment in that program. And you had Duke. And, you can say like Duke was 7-5, but the league is what matters. There's a weird tiebreaker, but they went 6-2. They were competitive in every game except for one, and they got revenge for that game in the ACC championship. So Duke, in a very basketball-centric conference, basketball-centric matchup, Duke is your ACC champion. And I'm a big fan of Manny Diaz. I think he's very, very intelligent. One of the brightest minds in college football. Like, people might not know that because he's a defensive coordinator and he's, he got canned at Miami, but he's actually incredibly intelligent, extraordinarily articulate, has great ideas, would be a good person to put in a leadership position to help guide college football into the future. And his teams play with toughness. And the offensive line, they gave them 500 more rushing yards than they had last year. They were bottom 8 last year. This year they're in the in the arena of respectability, and they have, their primary back averaging well over 5 yards a carry. So huge strides from last year to this year, even if the record doesn't necessarily show it, because we had 2 9-win teams last year that couldn't run the ball, which is weird. One of them was in this conference. But yeah,
it's us.
Yeah.
It's us.
Well, and Colorado won 9 games last year with no ability to run the ball at all. Yeah. Shout out to Amari DiMarcado, by the way. I promise no one else will be punching him in the stomach this year. I'm a Cardinals fan. That was the worst. But I like Duke a lot. I think it's going to present a pretty awesome challenge, and it's amazing to see what you can do when you get a quarterback who can move the pocket. He doesn't run. Malik Murphy didn't run, but Darian Mensah can move the pocket and avoid the pass rush. And Duke hasn't won as many games as they won last year, but they're a markedly better team. They would crush last year's team. So I'm definitely in the arena of a Duke respecter. And this is a game that Arizona State won in the 2014 Sun Bowl. It's kind of an exciting one. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how they match up.
All right. Yeah. And here, just in time for us to continue talking, is my main man, Brownie. How you doing tonight, Brownie?
I had an old man moment because my wife asked me what game the Iowa Hawkeyes made. And I looked it up and I was like, isn't that supposed to be the Outback Bowl? Is that not the Outback Bowl? And then I realized that it is no longer the Outback Bowl.
Yeah, you're right. Oh my God.
It's like the Relic West or some
Relic Quest. Yes.
Yeah. And then she was like, but it's in Tampa. And I was like, yeah, pretty sure that's the Outback Bowl. And she's like, no, it can't be. And then I looked it up and I was like, man, I am old, because the one time I went to the Outback Bowl was the Iowa versus South Carolina back in, I think that would have been 2010. So yeah, I had a screaming old man get off my lawn moment there for a second with all the name changes.
Yeah.
Brownie, can I just say the positioning of your Christmas tree is
perfect,
incredible.
If you weren't going to say it, I was going to say it. I adore the Christmas tree sprouting out of the top of your head.
Yes.
Yeah, if I could show you my living room and the mess that it is because of a child, the Christmas tree ended up being now placed in my office.
There you go. Safe from children and cats.
Festive backgrounds.
Yeah. Festive. Very festive. Mine's over there. Okay. So while you're here, Ralph, we were talking about this a little bit before the show, but Kenny Dillingham, right? The savior of Arizona State football, dare I say, his future in Tempe, possibly in flux. Michigan seems very interested post Sharon Moore adventure. We'll call it that. And, we were talking about it before the show. Kenny Dillingham may be looking at a very large payday, whether he stays in Arizona or goes to Michigan. What's your read on the whole situation and your emotional state?
To quote Bruno Mars, one of the great poet laureates of our time, not to be dramatic, but I want to die. This is awful. It's not. I don't think it's a situation that we should even be in. Arizona State has a president who famously likes to go his own way, and so, he turned the inevitability of joining the Big 12 into the most unnecessary adventure. He greenlit the hiring of somebody who hadn't coached in 9 years or coached in college in 30, and it resulted in the shame of an NCAA investigation and multiple show cause penalties and whatnot. And he spent the last week in court watching one of his former employees testify against his former athletic director and a former assistant athletic director's employment lawsuit over a booster sexually harassing people's wives, including Bobby Hurley's wife.
This keeps happening.
And so he's a very brilliant man, but I don't think, from everything I've ever heard and read and every interview I've ever seen, I don't think he's comfortable with the cultural obsession with sports primarily football and it being a driver of university attendance and those people having power, like true power, like power that would challenge what his true power is. I don't think he loves any of that. I think he's kind of an unwilling participant. And so we are in this situation now where if Kenny Dillingham's going to be at his alma mater, he would like to compete. He sees what BYU is doing, sees what Utah is doing, knows that we're not going to be in the arena of Texas Tech, but believes that if given more resources, he can steward them in a way that will keep Arizona State competitive. He has already paid back the investment of putting the program in his hands with a conference championship and a college football playoff appearance. And if it wasn't for some interesting officiating, it would have been a Peach Bowl victory. Like, he's already paid this investment back in full. He is asking for not necessarily himself, but for his staff, his recruiting department, his players. He's asking for a level of financial commitment, a level of innovation that other schools have exhibited in order to make this a good place to play and work. He is giving up money at this point by staying, having been linked to Auburn, LSU, Arkansas, Florida, and now Michigan, all high prestige jobs, all perceived nationally to be higher than Arizona State, if even Arkansas as an SEC school. So we've already been on this merry-go-round a few times. This is really his last opportunity to drop anchor and push for what it is he believes he needs. And there's a lot of people who don't believe that he will go through with any threat to leave. And that would be where I'd ask you guys what if the worst case scenario was you became Michigan's head coach? What if that was your fall back was a fall up? What if?
So I think it's funny because didn't you just see that Michigan is now starting a full-blown investigation into the athletic director and the athletic department? Like, you want to talk about like an absolute shit show. Like, we thought Penn State was bad. Michigan is like 20 times worse. So I really don't know. And like, again, totally up to Kenny if he wants to get the payday or not. But you're basically talking about hiring a coach who the AD might not be there, and then the new AD might not like the way Kenny does things, you know. So is he going to stick around, or is there going to try to be a justified clause in there? Plus, you're going into where you could potentially have recruiting sanctions and other athletic sanctions on you. Like, that seems like a bunch of like no thanks. Like,
True.
thanks, but no thanks.
True,
Like,
but the appeal of Kenny Dillingham is he just did that. That's the appeal. Because if you're Michigan, this honestly doesn't make sense. No regional ties, no conference ties, a staff full of Arizona high school football coaches with some Texas connections.
Yeah.
And Marcus Arroyo, who scored over 30 once in conference play this year. How is that the most appealing option for Michigan? I think for a lot of their fan base, they're just trying to forget the reality of the situation that they're in right now. I don't actually think that he's the best fit, but if they want to think that and he can use it to his advantage, great. But the one selling point for Kenny Dillingham right now is he stepped into a situation with an outgoing athletic director, with sanctions, with a new guy coming in who isn't the person that hired him, with a president situation that was shaky. I know Michigan's is worse because they don't actually have a permanent president, but I think right now the number one appeal of Kenny Dillingham is he did this once. He came in and cleaned it up once. That's the one place where I think they'd maybe have some faith in him to be beneficial for them moving forward.
I think we need to start investigating. Does he follow David Portnoy on social media?
Probably.
That'd be the only reason to do it. I mean, Michigan's also in a tough situation, though, because in the game of coaching musical chairs, everyone's already sat down, right?
Yeah.
All the hires have already been made. So they don't have a whole lot of just great options to go out and look at unless you're going to try and back up the Brinks truck for Kenny Dillingham. But, you know, I really don't think, you know, you said jokingly, Ralph, that worst case scenario is Michigan, but what if it actually is not a good scenario for Kenny Dillingham. Like you said, he doesn't have a whole lot of baked in advantages going into this role. And we've seen time and time again, the grass is not always greener at the bigger school, right? Look at Scott Frost at Nebraska. Okay. Also, I mean, there's so many situations where if you're, why would you want to, in my opinion, why would you want to step into a situation? So what you're being paid more. So what, it's a blue blood. You're stepping into a situation where expectations are impossibly higher, where there are more obstacles to your success, and where there's a high likelihood that you will flame out and then have to start over again, like Neil Brown in, North Texas or something, I don't think it would be a good situation for Kenny Dillingham, in the same way that I don't think it's going to be a good situation for Matt Campbell at Penn State, right? I think that everyone's going to end up having a bad time with that situation. But am I wrong in that assessment?
I think it's kind of weird, right? Because I do think that Matt Campbell can actually be more successful at Penn State than Iowa State. At Iowa State, we didn't have a whole hell of a lot. Like, we didn't have NIL, we didn't really have facilities. Like, we are starting to get facilities now, but like, nobody wants to come in the middle of BOF Iowa. It's not attractive, right? And most of his recruits are coming from Ohio. Like, it's a lot easier to sell an Ohio kid to go to State College than it is Ames, Iowa, if we're being honest, right? So I think that he at least will have the ability, but the real thing is, how quick are those fans going to turn on him when his press conference after losing a 1-point game is, we didn't win in the margins, and then he's going to constantly beat that dead horse. It's all about the process. It's about winning in the margins. They're not going to see it's special teams coach. And John Heacock is still in Ames right now. So John Heacock might either, one, retire, or two, not go to Penn State at all. So I don't know what he's going to do for defense. And Matt Campbell is notorious for not liking to run up the score. He likes to grit it out, which, I mean, is a Big Ten heyday, right? If we're being brutally honest, like a 10-7 is a perfectly acceptable score to them. Sure. But like for Penn State, when they're used to like 63, 77, 70, 82, like high numbers, Matt Campbell's not going to put up those numbers. And I think it's going to be one of those reality checks where either he's going to have to win over the fan base in some way, shape, or form, or Penn State fans are going to really have to like be like, okay, this is our new life. As long as we win, I don't give a shit. Because again, speaking about Nebraska, they fired Bo Pelini for constantly winning 10 to 11 games, right?
Yeah.
He just never was able to, like, quote unquote, get over the hump, which is the exact same problem James Franklin had at Penn State, right? He could never get over that hump. He could never win those big games, and they fired him. So is it going to be like a rinse repeat thing where Matt Campbell is now Penn State Scott Frost? Like, I don't know, but I definitely do think that if the Michigan job was open, Matt Campbell was going to be gone. It would have either been Penn State or Michigan. He would have taken one or the other.
Sure.
I don't think there's anything that we would have stopped him from moving on. But man, I would just hate to go into that toxic type of workplace. Yeah. And granted, like, sure, Michigan probably has NIL up the shitter, like on the over the cap amounts or whatever to give those college athletes, and he could probably get whatever recruit that he wanted, especially if David Portnoy loves him. I mean, he could be the Texas Tech of the Big Ten, but at the same time, like, if he doesn't perform, he better have it in his contract where he's guaranteed whatever buyout to where he doesn't have to do shit for like 10 years. Because it's reminded me a lot of like ye olden days of Ohio State. Like, head coaches go there for their careers to literally die, or you retire with a massive paycheck because you got voluntold to leave.
Well, that one of the benefits though is did you see they just released the very first version of like the robot assistants?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get one of those at Michigan now because they're definitely not going to let you have any. I don't think anybody's going to be allowed to be in any room. There's going to be cameras everywhere in Ann Arbor. It's going to be a police state. I did want to, Brownie, since you're here, I did want to bring this up. I have hated your new head coach for the majority of my life.
Oh, Hayden Fry at Iowa.
Jimmy
No,
Rogers.
Jimmy
Jimmy
Rogers.
Rogers. You had Jimmy Rogers?
I have hated Jimmy Rogers
Oh, you've hated.
for the majority of my life.
Is that because of SDSU?
No. He so when I was a freshman in high school, my town that I'm from had one high school. And going into my freshman year, they opened a second school. And everybody wanted to go there because it was brand new. My parents wouldn't let me. So I had to go to the old high school while everyone I knew went to the new high school. I had a teammate in high school football at my high school who, going into his senior year, which was the second year that this high school had ever been open, he wasn't doing so good grade-wise at our school, and he made the decision that he was going to switch to the new high school. And so he gathered us together at track practice, and he let us know he was going to be jumping ship, hitting the old late 90s high school transfer portal. And he left, and he went to the new high school. And his name was Terrell Suggs. And we played each other for the very first time. Was the very first year that high school had seniors in, I think, 2000, which was his senior year. They killed us. They continued to kill us for the next 15 years. Never once won a game. And at the very beginning of that streak of the new high school in the town I'm from, winning 17 times in a row against my high school, which is like 100 years old, Jimmy freaking Rogers won Hamilton High School a state championship in triple overtime over like John Beck at Mountain View as a senior. He won a state championship at a brand new high school in a town that like didn't have one. And it was like I'm like pure jealousy and rage. And what's crazy is that town continued to expand, and it opened 2 more high schools.
No.
The next high school it opened raised up a young man by the name of Taylor Mauser, who became your offensive coordinator.
Yep.
And the 4th high school in that town brought you Brock Purdy.
Yep. Chandler, Arizona, where football was born.
Apparently.
That is my hometown. The picture you see above my head, that's N'Keal Harry and Chase Lucas, both from Chandler High School. I got my start covering high school football in the city of Chandler, and so I got to watch all this stuff happen. But the Jimmy Rogers thing has always killed me because I have just watched that man have nothing but success for his entire life. And it's like, if they had waited like 2 more years to open the school, I would have been playing with Terrell Suggs. I would have been playing with Jimmy Rogers. It's garbage. I'm pissed. Anyway, he's the winner. Enjoy him. Fantastic addition. I think he might be able to keep it rolling out there.
What a piece of lore.
I have not had like a full-blown personal conversation with him, but everything that I have seen from him and like the clippings and everything, I sent Clint Foster it, but he was introduced during the men's Cy-Hawk game. So like the biggest rivalry for basketball. And he went out there, he did a whole speech about like, oh, we're going to keep this train rolling. Like, we're going to bring success. Like, we're going to be dominant in the Big 12. Like, you know, the typical like coach introductory speech. And then at the very end, he goes, let's stand up. Let's be proud. Let's cheer for Coach TJ Otzelberger and fuck the Hawks. And just walked off the stage. Freaking legend already.
I was waiting for Ralph's candid reaction to that.
I'm stuck in 1999 right now at track practice. just stuck.
If it also makes you feel any better, he was a Cyclone legend before he even got here because he made Iowa buy Mark Gronowski for like $3 million.
I like imagine because you see these influencers that get super famous and they spend like $3 million on a vehicle and then
Yeah.
they crash it for the views.
Yeah.
That was Mark Gronowski this year.
What a
They're just like,
champ.
they gave him like life-changing money and they were like, go run into a wall for 3 months in a row.
Congratulations. That was brought to you by Jimmy Rogers.
Yeah. Well, speaking of potential car accidents, the Big 12 has announced a new private equity deal for the conference. So I'm going to actually pull up this this article from CBS Sports. This is a very short article that just like details this new deal. Utah's already done it for them, and now the Big 12 is doing it as a conference. So here we go. Nearing private equity deal that could raise up to $500 million for league members. Big 12 is nearing an agreement with Redbird and Weatherford Capital that could deliver up to $500 million to conference members while also creating a strategic business partnership with the firms, sources told CBS Sports' Brandon Marcello. Yahoo Sports was first to report this. A final decision on the move is expected in the next few weeks. To date, the Redbird ecosystem has delivered over $145 million of contracted revenue to the Big 12 and its member institutions. Big 12 said in a statement, this partnership would provide the conference with a world-class strategic and capital partner while preserving 100% of the member institution's equity in the Big 12. And then, of course, it talks about Utah signing their personal equity deal, private equity deal with Otro Capital. Last year, CBS Sports reported that Big 12 members were considering a first-of-its-kind private equity investment to ensure the league's long-term financial and competitive security. There was another one on the table. The Big 12 isn't the only conference considering private equity. CBS Sports confirmed in October that the Big 12 is considering an enormous equity deal, potentially worth upwards of $2 billion. So, gentlemen, we talked a little bit, Brownie, about private equity with Utah on the last episode. Here we have one with the whole conference. What do we make of this? Is this just is this a bad situation waiting to unfold? Is this a good thing? Where are we at?
I think it's beneficial that we've at least had prior contact and prior agreements with Redbird because they have been a sponsor with us before. And I haven't dove too deeply into it, but at least from what I have been told about it, and I'm obviously taking some of this with a grain of salt, but it sounds like every university can opt in or out. Like you don't have to agree to take the $30 million. Now, from the sounds of it, you get the $30 million that year, but then you have to pay interest on it, kind of like a business loan.
Sure.
So
that's how it reads to me, is now you're
yeah.
in debt $30 million.
Yeah, so from what I have been hearing, it's going to be a bare minimum payment. You take the 30 million, you get that for the full year, you get it in one giant lump sum that you can then do whatever you want with that money in your athletic department. Whether it be coach's salary, facility upgrades, put it towards your NIL revenue share kind of thing. It just kind of seems like you can do whatever you want, but then obviously you're going to be paying. I don't even know the percentage of the interest, but they said that it was going to be bare minimum. So I mean, shit. Nowadays, bare minimum could be 5% for all we know. But it's just interesting to me that we are now in that aspect of sports to where private equity firms can come in and do whatever the hell that they want. Because like the Big Ten one is $2 billion, but they have the rights to the conference until like 2039 or 2049. Like that is a huge GOR. And with the way that even worse. Like you're talking about a 20-year deal to sell your soul to a private equity firm. I don't know. I still hate private equity firms, but again, I come from the retail world where as soon as you hear we've been bought by PE, you're just screwed. So, like, I don't know if sports PE is different from commercial or retail, but every time I see a PE, you're just done.
Well, no matter what industry it's in, they're interested in one thing, and that's making money.
And that's making money.
Right. Yeah.
They got to make money. They're not just going to give you it. It almost makes me feel like we're going into like loan shark territory, like ye olden days, like backdoor bookies.
Mhm.
But now they can walk through the front door.
Yeah, there you go. What's your read, Ralph?
I majored in English. I don't understand the economics of anything. I watched Wayne's World.
Fellow liberal arts purveyor.
Yes, I watched Wayne's World, and that's my my experience of private equity. Is it's like we're looking down at Wayne's basement, but that's not Wayne's basement, and it's like people only do things because they get paid, and that's just really sad. So
really sad.
that's kind of my whole take on it. I'm from Wyoming. You treat a cow really, really well when you're fattening it up to send it off to the slaughter.
That's a good point.
If you're not doing that, then you're raising up a Holstein, and you're getting it to the point where it can be eternally pregnant and always being milked. And so that's private equity to me. We're in the eternal pregnancy stage for the purpose of someone else's milking. Don't make a quote card out of that or anything.
I already snipped it.
I'm not
going all over the internet.
Yeah. Anyway, not excited to
subscribe
get milked
now.
Yeah, not excited to get milked is what I'm trying to convey, and I regret it.
Yeah. I mean, well, and just from a fan perspective, I feel like the immediate impact this has on fans is it's just going to raise prices on everything, right? Like I said this with the Utah deal. TCU fans have already been told over the course of raising season ticket prices the last several years. Well, this is just the cost of doing business, right? This is just the cost of a New Mexico Bowl championship team. Okay, it's just what you got to pay if you want to be a fan of this institution, right? It's going to be that much harder to go to Big 12 championship games or go to playoff games. It's the NFLification of all of this, right? Real fans can't go to the Super Bowl because it's all about corporate interest, because all the tickets are $5 bajillion, right? It's really sad, I think, to see
college football has hit late game capitalism.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's just and of course there's always been shadiness, and there's always been backdoor dealings, and there's always been money in the sport. But it's like at least there was the artifice of amateurism, right? And at least on some level, everyone still cared about regionality and doing it for the love of the game and rivalries and bowl season, for God's sake. It's sad. It's very sad.
I will say that if the amount of time and energy that was put into not sharing created chaos, and the NCAA didn't learn from every kingdom throughout humanity where you hoard resources and then there's revolution and then a period of chaos. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be in that chaos period because there is absolutely no incentive to put in standards. Lawyers can't get paid as much as they get paid now with standards in place. Agents can't get paid as much as they get paid now with standards in place. So we gave the reptile people a foothold in the sport, and an agent is going to advise a client to transfer because a non-transferring client does not get them paid. No. A lawyer like Darren Heitner is going to take every opportunity to sue everybody over everything because he doesn't have a long-term vision. All he can be is contrarian because there's a financial benefit to that. So we're in a terrible stage of college football, but for everybody who was screaming from the mountaintop that you cannot perpetually increase the size of the pie without increasing the one slice that matters, the slice that's devoted to labor, this is the disaster that the NCAA asked for. And I would just ask that everybody's animosity, if you're going to stick around, is pointed that way. They paid Mark Emmert millions of dollars a year to be a punching bag. Mm-hmm. He took it as a masochist. He took that money, and his whole thing was to just say no, that office equipment was enough. The office equipment was enough of a benefit. And the amateurism, there were two elements to it. Number one, they were getting paid in office equipment and a classroom seat that would have already been available and a dorm that would have already been available. And they advertised it at retail cost, even though it wasn't retail. But also that was a benefit, but also there were no benefits because they were amateurs. And there was never any sense to the logic. And every college added 10 more administrators every single year. And every single college got into relationships with boosters where, somebody would start a printing company and they would donate to the program. And that donation would come back in the form of dollar in, dollar out economics of, I donate $1 million and then you spend $1 million in my print shop. I get to eat and we get to launder this money back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Everybody in the country is operating in a shady way that just didn't impact the average fan because players were locked in place. And now we're in a situation where everybody gets to act like administrators and coaches, and now we're dissatisfied. So we can't retroactively go and have that energy toward coaches and administrators and everything like that. But we can try to row the boat towards something that makes more sense, that's more equitable. The first thing we got to do is we have to establish guidelines for who has access to the athletes. That's number one, because I'm at Arizona State. My quarterback's brother has ultimate influence over everything he does and has him in a position where he is endorsing COVID prevention energy drinks and leaving Arizona State to go find some easier way to get to the NFL. And he is going to miss out on the benefit of legacy. Brock Purdy's going to have legacy. You have a quarterback that played in the national championship that is going to have a forever legacy. Unless Sam Levitt does something very special at his next destination, he's going to be homeless, like his brother and dad elected to be when they surrendered their affinity to BYU to be adversarial. So, until people start to really see the consequences of there are no more jerseys hanging in the rafters because there wasn't that loyalty over time.
Yeah.
And until people really start to pay the price for this 10 to 12 years down the road, you're not going to see people rejecting it to make legacy plays. But that matters more now than ever. The 40-year commitment actually matters now, and it needs to be stressed by coaches now, but it never will be because we all know why coaches get paid a lot. It's so that they can collect talent. Everyone says you're making a 40-year commitment, but if it was really done on the merits of the good schooling you got, then we wouldn't be in an economic war for a coach, or an assistant coach, or a talent collector every single year. It's a mess.
And it will continue.
Yes. Well, and speaking of coaches who've made long commitments, Kyle Whittingham stepping down at Utah. This news came out over the past week. Now, I saw something, and it's escaping me now that all of the longest tenured coaches in the Big 12 are gone. So I'm trying to remember exactly who the longest tenured coach in the Big 12 is now, and let me know if y'all know. But end of an era at Utah.
Satake was 2016. He's the longest tenured coach at the prospective school. The next closest is Dave Aranda at 2020.
Dave Aranda was what I saw. Yes.
Yeah. Which should tell you everything, because every single coach now in the Big 12 has been in this conference for less than 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, but talk about legacy. Whittingham certainly has a legacy at Utah. Can the Utes continue? Well, they've had 1 year now where they've competed at a high level. Can they continue to compete at a high level without Kyle Whittingham?
Weren't they already transitioning the new hired head coach to be?
I believe it's the defensive coordinator. I believe.
Yeah, Morgan Scally. Yeah.
I was going to say, hasn't this been in the works for a couple of years? But
it almost went down when he had two players pass away in 1 year. He was ready to step down then, but he didn't want to leave on a down note. The funniest possible thing Utah could do is put out the press release that Kyle Whittingham is stepping down. He will no longer be the head coach at Utah. Therefore, he is probable to be the coach next year. because that's how they've handled every single injury report for the duration of his tenure. I love Kyle Whittingham, and I'm a Wyoming guy and an Arizona State guy. He made my life hell on multiple fronts. At one point, we had a Wyoming coach walk out onto the field and flip off the entire Utah sideline because he was throwing up 43-0 early in the third quarter. He has been the absolute bane of my existence. I think he's a great, great man. I will not, unless they continue it, obviously, I will not miss his pathological level of lying when it came to player injuries.
Well, you know, as Gary Patterson once said, if I'm telling you, I'm telling the other team. Can't tell you, I'm telling the other team.
Cam Rising had no ligaments in his knee, and he was week to week for like 3 years.
Yeah.
It used to be a running joke with Matt Campbell too, where we all knew that one of our players tore an ACL, and I was infamously putting every single day when somebody was asking his injury, the milk carton, like the missing milk carton.
Mm-hmm.
And then Matt Campbell was like, "Oh yeah, they just got back to practice. Like they're a game time decision." And I was like, "Oh my God, like get the milk carton ready. Like he's missing. Where is he?"
He would argue, he's like, I'm abiding by the rules. I will follow the rules you give. So if you put injury reports in place and everybody has to play by the same rules, I will gladly play by them. So the Big 12 introduces injury reports this year, and he erases depth charts. That was his reaction to this thing that he called for. He stopped doing depth charts, and I wish him a long, happy retirement.
Well, didn't he say that he's just stepping down? Like he's not fully retiring. Like
I guess he
going
be
into an
involved in
analytical role or something.
Yeah.
Oh God, how funny would that be if he somehow went to Michigan?
Well, Urban Meyer went to Ohio State. Why not Kyle Whittingham go to Michigan? Right?
They've had a long track record of people who lie in the
fit
in
right
that
in.
Role. Yeah. He limits his fibs to a little less consequential area.
No secretary foreplay there.
No, I don't.
Probably not.
No.
Well, lots of players obviously have been entering their names into the portal. You mentioned Sam Levitt, but the one that I really want to talk about is Brennan Sorsby leaving Cincinnati. And, you know, we've all seen it on Twitter. Hey, he's Texas Tech's if we want him. If Tech wants him, he's going to Texas Tech. And we saw, I don't know if y'all saw this on Twitter, it might have been yesterday, that his girlfriend, a volleyball player from Cincinnati, has announced that she is transferring to Texas Tech, complete with some awkward hand contact from the coach there. So is this the writing is on the wall? Is Brendan Sorsby heading to Tech to follow his girlfriend? And is that bad news for everyone else in the conference? Or, as a lot of Bearcats have suddenly decided, is Brendan Sorsby overrated? What do we think?
My wife, that is very big into volleyball, did not know this news until I told her this news. And then she went down the rabbit hole. And a little backstory, because we all love good old backstories here. Cincinnati's volleyball coach, this was her first year there. And she got a lot of the Eastern European cell block for players coming in. Now that she's kind of solidified the roster, she's been able to recruit her own people. So kind of the older Cincinnati volleyball girls are starting to really get pushed out and starting to transfer unless they're part of the big picture, right? And I think she already held an offer from Texas Tech before she committed to Cincy. So there was already a tie there.
Okay.
So it's not any IL flashing of the money, but I will say this. Texas Tech's got it right. You follow the woman no matter what.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all have seen the 30 for 30 Pony XS. It's my favorite 30 for 30 of all time. Shout out Thaddeus DiMattula. But they talk about during Craig James's recruitment that what played an even bigger role than the money was the fact that his girlfriend, now wife, was going to SMU. And so Bear Bryant's recruiting me is like, I'm not going to go to Alabama. My girlfriend's in Dallas. So yeah, it's definitely a recruiting tool.
Hey, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah.
I spent all off season arguing with people who had Brandon Sorsby in the bottom quadrant of their quarterback rankings. This is going to sound like I'm patting myself on the back. I only started watching his film before Arizona State had to play them last year. And I went on my Wednesday night spaces, Sun Devil spaces, and I told people this guy is legit. And then I went to George Reister, who does I do the college football apostles with, and we made a whole video about how he's great. And then I argued with people online, and now he is good. And all the Cincinnati fans that were like happy with me are now maybe feel differently. You can go from underrated to overrated pretty quickly. I think he has a lot of really, really good tools. I don't think Cincinnati had the best offense on earth, and he had a couple of stinkers like that. That's legitimate, but he has NFL size, NFL arm. He can move. It would suck to have him at Texas Tech, knowing that they have a quarterback waiting in the wings with an ACL injury who is very, very good as well, but they don't have to wait. They don't have to take any risk. They can guarantee competitive balance through that handoff, and good for them. And I believe he'll be at Texas Tech, and I believe he'll be very, very good there. And I think they run their offense in such a way where you don't have to be a sniper. And he's not, I think saw you posted somebody in the comments. He does not always hit his target, but when he's got good feet, I mean, he can hit you on an absolute rope down the sideline, and so he'll make some big plays for them, and he'll keep the chains moving with his legs. And they have a quarterback waiting in the wings, and they'll be in great shape.
Ugh, I gotta plug my laptop in. Brownie, what do you think about Brennan Sorsby to Tech?
Sorsby made our excessively injured secondary look like junior high players going up against and Tom Brady, basically. He had all time to throw. I think he is a really good quarterback. It's just going to be one of those things where if he does opt to go to Tech to follow his girlfriend, I think then Tech's NIL change is not going to be like if you bring in Brendan Sorsby and you bring in 10 to 15 new transfer players like coming into this following year, and they're all going to be starters or second stringers, I think Texas Tech then really has to stop recruiting outside of like stud 5 stars or like the upper 4 stars, because they have now just officially committed to being more of that like old school Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina men's basketball, where you are one and done. Like you got your development somewhere else, you became good, you come here, we throw you on a pro style offense or a pro style defense, rinse, repeat, go to the draft. Like Texas Tech honestly might arguably have the most NFL players, like with Texas Tech right behind it, but that's just because that's where they left from, right? Not because that's where they got developed. And I think that that's going to be the slippery slope that Cody Campbell and co is going to have to really start to figure out is, do you use the NIL as it currently is to kind of do what Miami used to do, like in the early 2000s, like when they had all of these great players, like they would graduate and then you would just refill the roster with the guys underneath them who were arguably probably better. And I think that's what it's going to be like.
All right. Well, Ralph, I know you got to bounce. I really appreciate you for stopping by, brother. We'll finish off the last couple of topics we have without you. Any parting words for the people in internet land?
No, I love being on the show. I really appreciate you guys. My daughter won her like student council race, so we got to go.
Hey.
We got to go eat cupcakes.
Hell yeah!
And did you promise free gum?
No, I don't.
Housing freeze.
No, I don't think she went
Free
full
buses.
mom Donnie on these
Yeah.
fourth graders. but I do have to be honest. We would have eaten cupcakes either way.
But they're just going to be that much better.
That is true. That is true. So I appreciate you guys.
Cupcakes. Yeah.
See you
Have a good
around.
one, Ralph.
Bye.
So, last two things that we're going to, well, actually, before, why don't I do this? I'll actually play the ad that I always forget to play. Here's a quick word from Voice of College Football Bets, then we'll finish up our last two topics.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
All right. So, yes, now. Now we got two more things to talk about. First, two pieces of coaching news from the University of Colorado. First, I have to shout out Warren Sapp for his now deleted tweet in which he besmirched the legacy of Texas high school football, which is a shocking thing to do when you're attempting to recruit Texas high schoolers. But you do you, Warren Sapp. That's great. The other piece of Colorado coaching news that we have to talk about, Brennan Marion is going to be the new offensive coordinator in Colorado, and he's getting himself a fat payday. What did you tell me, Brad? It was like 2 years for $3 million a year or something.
2
like
years,
that?
$3 million.
Yeah. I mean, lordy Lord. Well, hey, Colorado's already $27 million in debt. What's a little more?
Why not?
but I don't know. What do we think about Brennan Marion as an offensive coordinator hire? He's fresh off of being the head coach at Sacramento State, where he had some pretty good success. Prior to that, he was, of course, the offensive coordinator at UNLV, where he really made his bones. He was a really hot coaching name for a long time. I mean, if he's got any horses, this could be really great for Colorado.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be an interesting hire. I definitely think that they overpaid him to go. But I it should be interesting because he did do well at UNLV. He's done great at Sacramento State. It's going to be, I think, a little bit different of a type of ball game when you get into that P5 level, especially when you're at Sac State. But if anybody can do it, he probably can, because at least he has that G5 experience, I honestly just don't know what to expect of Colorado moving forward, and I really don't know what to expect of the Colorado coaching staff moving forward, because it seems like almost every other week somebody's hiring and firing, and they've already come out saying that they have now spent like almost $4 million a year over the past 3 years off of coaches' buyouts. So, like, Dion needs to find some sort of stability and quit, like, hiring his NFL friends, and like maybe this is the way moving forward,
especially if they're gonna shit talk recruits in the state of Texas of all places.
Hey man, maybe he just wants to recruit California and that's the way to do it. I don't know.
Don't mess with
from
Florida. He's got to be from Florida. I mean, he went to Miami.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
a lot of randos went to Orlando.
It just makes me think of, there's an old Three Stooges short where I don't remember the exact context, but someone's picking on Curly, and Mo steps in to be like, "Sir, do you have any idea who you're talking to? This is a man from the state of Texas. How dare you talk down to a man from the state of Texas. Like, and he's in the claps every time. So speaking of offensive coordinators, this is something I'm very excited to talk about. TCU has a new offensive coordinator, and I have not seen the TCU fandom this excited about an offensive coordinator hire. I don't know. Since, let's just say, 2 offensive coordinators ago. Certainly not as divisive as the last one. Oh, geez, his name just fell right out of my brain. But it's the offensive coordinator from UConn coming down to Fort Worth. Gordon Samus. And man, I admittedly did not watch a single down of UConn football until this guy got hired. I immediately started watching highlights. Basically, the coaching staff did something incredible. They were introspective, which was something I was not fully aware that they were capable of being. They said, hey, what are we not good at? We're not good at being physical at the line of scrimmage, and we're not good at running the ball. Let's get an offensive coordinator in here who kicks ass in those 2 areas. And that's exactly what Gordon Samus is. He runs a pro-style system that is very, it relies heavily on wide zone and just being physical at the point of attack. He was an offensive line coach before he became an offensive coordinator. Man after my own heart. He is going to do some really, really great things with this TCU offense. I truly believe, just like that, I'm ready to be heard again. He did have this past year at UConn, he had a 3,000-yard quarterback, a 1,000-yard receiver, and a 1,000-yard running back. I mean, balance, physicality, sign me the hell up. I am so excited about Gordon Samus. Welcome to Fort Worth, sir.
Future head coach, Gordon Samus.
I mean, hey,
Baylor.
Certainly somewhere. I'm sure he appears to be on the path to be a head coach somewhere.
Probably Baylor.
From us, then better not, man. We better not do that.
You guys keep hiring each other's coaches, and we know that Aranda is going to be gone next year anyways. I
know they better not take him. But yeah.
Well, they missed out on North Texas, so
yeah. North Texas again. Shout out Neil Brown. Texas is going to be trusting the climb. Yeah, I'm very excited about Gordon Samus and all that he brings to the table. It's going to be interesting too to see if maybe he brings, I don't know, an offensive lineman with him from UConn or 2. I wouldn't be mad about it. Wouldn't be mad about it at all. Lots to be excited about. Yes. All right. Well, that is our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I just realized that now Twitter lets you share live YouTube videos on Twitter. So we've been live on Twitter this whole time, and we haven't missed out on any YouTube video views. So amazing. Great. We'll be doing a lot more of that. Thanks for tuning in. Brownie, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at WRNL Brownie on both Blue Sky and X. Go ahead, follow our main channel on Twitter as well. Join our Discord too, because we are having an absolute blast on all things sports, especially now that winter sports is coming around. We got the Winter Olympics right around that corner, too. Yep. So, I mean, it is popping just as hard as it usually is during prime football season.
And the World Cup coming up too after the Winter Olympics. Yeah. Man, what a sports year we're getting into. Holy mackerel. Subscribe to the show. Join in with 1,000 of your closest friends. Thank you so much. At Big 12 BOCFB. Hit that subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55. Follow the Voice of College Football on all your social medias. Subscribe to Clint Foster Creations. Great. So, until next week, I love you. I hope your team wins. And go Big 12. We'll see you around, folks.